welcome to a brand new video. I am so excited about today's video. My name is Olivia if you have not been here before. I just wanted to say that I have not filmed in actual weeks because unfortunately I came down with the big bad C word. Finally caught up to me after all these years and I'm still recovering. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I was sweating just getting ready for this video, so we're gonna take things nice and slow, but I do have a lot of books to catch you up on because I got a lot for my birthday. I got a lot for myself, from friends, I have some from publishers, from my local thrift store, from Barnes & Noble. Some of you guys were so sweet and even sent me money to go buy books. You know who you are, but I just could not thank you all enough. Of course, I had to do a book haul with I think about 34 books I have here to share with you all. I'm gonna take things nice and slow, probably gonna cough a lot throughout this, and hopefully it's not too distracting if you could still hear kind of like some junk going on. I have my tea to hopefully get me through this. I definitely advise getting a hot beverage of your own because this is gonna be a long book haul. So I'm just gonna say right now, this is probably going to be one of the more chaotic videos or book hauls I've ever done. Typically, I like to do like mysteries and thrillers and middle grade and fantasy and whatever, but I'm just gonna be pulling from this stack, talking about the books at random, and hopefully that's okay with you all. Thought it would just be kind of fun to keep you all guessing. Let's just go ahead and get started, and I think I am going to start with the books that I purchased for myself, and then I'm going to go into the books that friends or people like bought me. That's pretty much the only rhyme or reason to this book haul, so let's just get started. There's definitely something for everyone in this haul. I thought I would start off with a package or a book that St. Martin's Press so kindly sent me, totally unsolicited. I was so surprised, especially because I had never heard of this book before. I love Agatha Christie, but I have never heard of The Christie Affair by Nina de Gramont, and this is actually a Reese's book club, which is even cooler. I don't know much about this book, but I do know it is about the 11 days that Agatha Christie actually disappeared. So this is historical fiction. It kind of talks about what the author thinks happened during that time, and I had no clue that Agatha Christie actually disappeared. I am very intrigued by this one and so thankful that the publisher sent it to me. I've heard really good things about this. I've seen really good reviews. I recently read The Death on the Nile, which makes me want to pick this up like right now, right away. Yeah, if you guys have not heard this one and you're Agatha Christie fans, there you go. I'm just gonna go ahead and get into the manga graphic novels that I picked up because I feel like I found some pretty good ones, and the first one may be a little bit cheesy to some of you, but honestly, I'm obsessed. I think it's so cute. I've been seeing a lot of classical stories coming out as manga, which is so funny to me, but also when I saw Anna Green Gables, like, how could you say no to this? She is so cute, and just flipping through here, I know I'm gonna fall in love and be obsessed with this, so I really want to collect all of these. I'm not sure which ones they have out yet or right now. My little sister actually found it, so I'm gonna let her borrow it when I'm done. This is just the classic tale of Anna Green Gables, so if you're an Anna Green Gables fan, you may want to look into this even if you've never read manga before. It might be a good place to start because you're already familiar with the story. I also decided to pick up number 13 in the Promised Neverland series. I can't believe I'm already on 13, but I think there's like 23 out at this point. I have a lot of catching up to do, but these are just about orphans that basically are at an orphanage, but it's really creepy. Some weird things start happening, and I won't give anything away, but I feel like this would be a really good starting manga as well. I have a lot of catching up to do with this one, so I had to pick up the next in the series. The next manga that I have been trying to get a hold of for a while, but I have not been able to find it at my Barnes & Noble, but I saw it this time. It is Freyren Beyond Journey's End. So Freyren, I think is how you pronounce the name, is the name of this girl. She's actually a mage. He's a priest, and then I forget what these two are. I think he's just a hero, and this guy is just a dwarf of some kind. They go on these basically quests, like they're all heroes and good people and they just want to save other people in towns and basically just get asked to do these different quests. And so they go on this like lifelong adventure together. But the weird thing is that Freyrin is actually immortal, like she never dies. So we kind of get a little bit of background with the other three characters actually about to pass away. So she is kind of giving them their last wish, ask if there's anything she can do. This is actually one that's a little bit more sentimental and sad and emotional than I thought it was gonna be, which is not a bad thing, but this definitely plays off the low-key side of fantasy. It's not high fantasy at all. The mage here actually takes on a little apprentice and she's super cute, and I just can't wait to see what the two of these girls do together. I really enjoyed it. And then I have two middle grade graphic novels here, which are always my favorite. Middle grade is just the best when it comes to graphic novels, and I decided to pick up Tide Song by Wendy Zhu. This looks so adorable and I cannot wait to get to it. This little girl's name is Sophie, and apparently she gets sent to like some distant relatives who actually know magic and can train her at this academy or this school, but apparently her magic gets tangled up with like this sea dragon of some sort, and she kind of has to rein it in and learn how to use her powers and her skills. But anything that has to do with water or under the sea just is my jam. I love it and I can't say no. So as you can see, we've got a lot of color going on in here, a lot of underwater creatures, and I'm just excited to see what kind of adventures Sophie goes on. This graphic novel called City of Secrets by Victoria Ying, I actually have never seen or heard of this before, but the back says an orphan boy, a spunky girl, and a secret hidden in an amazing puzzle box of a building. The combination could save a whole city. So I love the art style of this one as well. It's just very muted but also colorful, and it's considered like a mystery thriller in middle grade form. I think this is gonna be right up my alley. It actually looks a little bit more historical, I guess, from the way the characters are dressed. It says an edge of your seat thriller, so hopefully that's the case. Going into some fantasy here, I finally was able to get my hands on Daughter of the Moon Goddess. I knew this was coming out around my birthday at the end of January. I had to get my hands on it. I think I even had this on my February TBR, but I did haul this recently, so I figured I would put this in here. An enthralling debut fantasy inspired by the legend of Chang'e, the Chinese moon goddess, in which a young woman's quest to free her mother sets her on a dangerous path and pits her against the most powerful immortal in the realm. This is one of those books that I really hope the story holds up to the actual cover, because this is stunning. This was definitely a cover buy for me, but also fantasy, so if you've read this one, let me know what you thought, because I'm very eager to get to this. And then I had to pick up The Wicked Deep by Shay Earnshaw. I recently just read A History of Wild Places and loved it, but I heard it's very different from her usual, more atmospheric, faster paced books, if I'm not mistaken, so I really wanted to give her another shot. I know it has to do with 3 witches, I believe, that were sentenced to death, and they were drowned in the deep waters, and they actually come back every year and steal 3 more troubled girls, and I don't know what else happens in this. It's witchy vibes, it's Shay Earnshaw, this cover is stunning, so that's pretty much all I had to know to pick this one up. This book called Vita Nostra is actually a book that I keep seeing pop up everywhere, mostly because the cover just keeps catching my eye, and this was actually written in Russian first, I believe, and then it was translated into English, and I'm not going to try to pronounce the author's names, but I think they are either siblings or they're a married couple that wrote this together, which is super cool. But I'm going to read a little bit from the back, because this is more of like a complicated kind of like sci-fi-ish story as well. It says, while vacationing at the beach with her mother, teenage Sasha meets the mysterious ferret and finds herself powerless to refuse when this unusual, vaguely sinister man directs her to perform a task with potentially scandalous consequences. He rewards her with a strange golden coin. As the days progress, Sasha carries out other acts for which she receives more coins. As summer ends, her domineering mentor directs her to use her gold to enter the Institute of Special Technologies in a remote village. A brilliant dark fantasy combining psychological suspense, enchantment, and terror. So apparently this book is pretty popular in a lot of other countries, and I feel like it's just now making its debut in the States. This was actually published in 2013. Something about this just sounds really intriguing. It's a little more psychological, but there is some magic involved, and hopefully it sounds like an institute or a school, which I'm huge into academia vibes, so I'm hoping this one is going to be really good. Next up, I have Who is Maud Dixon by Alexandra Andrews. This is a newer to me author, a newer to me book. Again, I've been seeing this pop up a lot. I feel like is the case with a lot of these books. I just had to get my hands on this one because it has books, it has authors involved, and it's a mystery thriller. I am actually almost done with this book, and I can say that it's more psychological or literary drama kind of thriller, which surprisingly isn't usually my cup of tea, but I am really enjoying it, and I cannot wait to see what happens. But essentially, we have Florence, who is this aspiring author. She's worked with publishing companies before, and everyone is obsessed with Maud Dixon because she writes under the pseudonym Maud Dixon, and people really want to know who she is because her book just absolutely blew up. And she got fired from the publishing company that she worked with, Florence did, and she suddenly gets this opportunity to work as Maud Dixon's assistant. So she works as Maud Dixon's assistant, finds out who the lady actually is, and they decide to go on this trip together to kind of do some research for her new book. I won't say anything else, but there is a car crash involved. I was a little bit disappointed because I feel like the synopsis basically gives away the whole plot of this book, except for maybe the plot twist that's coming. It's kind of one of those weird books that this isn't what I was expecting, but I am still enjoying it. Like, I would pick something else up by this author. Hopefully this will be in a recent reads video or a wrap-up video when I finish it, and you guys can see what I actually thought. I think this is the only like sci-fi book that I picked up, and it's the start of a series, which is always dangerous for me, but it's book one of the Themis files called Sleeping Giants. I think I've heard basically Britt talk about this book so many times. I'm pretty sure it's one of like her favorites of all time, and I've been meaning to pick this up for years if I'm being honest. I saw it for $5. I was like, you know what, let's just give it a shot and see what happens. It's very rare that I'm in the mood for complete sci-fi, but this one doesn't sound too difficult to understand. It's basically about a girl named Rose who's riding her bike near her home when she falls through the earth and into the palm of a giant metal hand. Like, that just sounds crazy nuts. But apparently she goes to school for this kind of, I don't know what the job title is, but she essentially researches this hand, and it could lead to mass destruction or lasting peace. Like, it just sounds kind of nuts, so I'm here for it. Sounds a little bit confusing, so I didn't really explain it that well. I know this one is very popular and a lot of people love it. Trying to get more sci-fi on my shelf, but yeah, I hope I like this one as much as Brittany does. The next book is actually a middle grade that I have been eyeing for forever. I finally pulled the trigger because I'm hoping to read this for middle grade March next month. That is Pages & Co. The Book Wanderers. Isn't this cover not the cutest thing ever? I mean, a cat. Hello, I had to buy it. It has a cat on it. I am obsessed, and the story sounds phenomenal. We have a girl named Tilly who actually works in this bookshop that her grandparents own, and her mother disappeared years ago. Her favorite characters start showing up at this bookshop, like Alice in Wonderland, Anne of Green Gables, and she finds out she can actually travel into the world of these books with these characters, which sounds so incredible and so cute. Like, I am so excited for this. She's hoping to get closer to trying to figure out what happened to her mother when her mother disappeared. I think this is going to be really heartfelt and touching, but also really adventurous. And I know there's at least one other book, possibly 3 out now at this point in this series, but I've been dying to pick this one up, and I was like, you know what, middle grade March is coming up, so we're gonna do it. I also decided to pull the trigger on another book that I've been wanting to pick up for ages. That is Raybearer by Jordan Ifueko. I have seen this literally everywhere on Bookstagram non-stop since the day it came out. There's even a second one out now, I believe. Also, this cover is freaking stunning. It's a young adult fantasy, but I've heard it's really intricate. Like, there's a lot of detail and politics that go into this, and I know nothing about it. So it says, what if you've sworn to protect the one you were born to destroy? It sounds so good. I think this one is also possibly light on the romance, which is usually my cup of tea. I hope to love this one as much as everyone else does, especially since I'm going into this completely blind, and I kind of want to keep it that way. So I'm looking forward to this, and hopefully I'll want to pick up the next one. Again, another book, The Library of the Unwritten, that I have been wanting to pick up for ages now, and honestly just used my birthday as an excuse to spend money to get books that I've wanted to read for years now. Books that aren't finished by their authors reside in the library of the unwritten in hell. But when restless characters who emerge from those unfinished stories escape, it is up to the librarian to track them down and keep the collection complete. This is an adult fantasy book that just sounds absolutely phenomenal. I believe this one is also a trilogy. This one is a fairly new release in 2019, but I've been dying to pick this one up. I haven't heard a ton about this one, but anything that has libraries, librarians, stories, like the creatures coming alive, just sounds so cool, so unique. I was sold, and yeah, another one that I just need to hurry up and read, but I'm so glad that I finally own it. Now this next book I couldn't resist picking up because it was only $5, and I was like, you know what, this is a really popular mystery thriller author, I feel like I'm gonna like it. But I recently read Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter, and it wasn't my favorite. I will just say that. So I'm very hesitant going into this, but little did I know, March 4th, they're actually releasing a movie or like a mini series of this book. I was like, well, I guess it was kind of meant to be. I'm willing to give this author another shot. The only thing I know about this is it's about a mother-daughter relationship, and they're shopping at the mall one day, and the mother just acts out violently, like completely different than what her normal personality would be. I'm not sure if she like goes to jail, but I know other people get hurt. And yeah, that's pretty much all I know. I think this one is more psychologically driven. What's really cool is this is actually signed by Karen Slaughter herself, giving a note to the reader. She says, have you ever looked at the person you know best in the world and wondered what really lies below the surface? Whether what you see is genuinely what you get. I've always been fascinated by the secrets and lies that underpin our lives, and so that's the question Pieces of Her asks. Can you ever know anybody completely? I hope you enjoy it. That was a pleasant surprise when I got home and opened this. I didn't realize the author had written a note, which is super cool, so Karen Slaughter, don't let me down on this one, baby. The next book the publisher so kindly sent me, once again, The Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins. I have not read anything by Rachel Hawkins yet, but I have been seeing this one go around quite a bit, and I'm hoping to save this one for summer because it definitely gives off those island beach vibes. My knowledge of this is very small, other than I just know there's history of shipwrecks, cannibalism, and even rumors of murder on this island, but there's 6 visitors that end up going to this island, and then someone turns up dead, so I think it's a little bit more of a murder mystery. I'm very intrigued to see what I think of this one. And another mystery thriller that I decided to pick up for my book of the month is The Maid by Nina Prose. I've also seen this one going around quite a bit, and I think I'm really gonna love it. It's about this maid, I think, who just cleans up hotel rooms, and one day she finds a dead body. Obviously, she was the only other person in that room with fingerprints and all of that. She gets accused of this murder that she has nothing to do with, and I've heard the main character Molly is just super quirky, and she just struggles socially. I'm not sure if she actually has a physical or mental illness, but this just sounds like really good representation as well. I'm very eager to get to this one, and hopefully I'll love the main character Molly just as much as everyone else does. And then another big giant fantasy book that I decided to try is called The Starless Crown by James Rollins. I've never heard of or seen this author before in the past. It kind of reminds me of Six of Crows and has been marketed as such because we have an alliance of a gifted student that foretells an apocalypse. We have a broken soldier, a drunken prince, and a prison thief, but they're all on the run. They're hunted by enemies of some kind, and they uncover ancient secrets. The synopsis is pretty vague with this one, which I kind of like. I'm really hoping to like this one. It is adult. I've been trying to get more into adult fantasy, so I'm really hoping this one doesn't let me down. I don't think this is supposed to be a series, but if it is, that's even better, especially if I like it. This next fantasy book, I've just been chomping at the bit to get to. You know when someone describes a book that you're like, yep, that was literally me when I heard Murphy Napier talking about the Bone Shard Daughter. This sounds like such a phenomenal magic system, like nothing I've ever heard before, and it's really hard for me to describe. It says, in an empire ruled by bone shard magic, the former heir to the emperor will fight to reclaim her magic and her place on the throne. So apparently there's this type of like mysterious illness where childhood memories can be erased, but she described it in a way that I was like, this is just me in a book. It's adult fantasy. It's also blurbed by Sarah J. Maas, who said, one of the best fantasy novels I've read in a long time. I believe this is a trilogy, if not a duology. It's called The Drowning Empire, which also sounds so cool, and I love these covers. Just everything about this intrigues me, and I really hope I'm gonna love it as much as Murphy did. I trust her with a lot of my fantasy recommendations. So this last book that I bought myself for my birthday, yes, I know we have a lot already, but some people sent me money, some people sent me gift cards, and yeah, I just kind of went crazy, so I'm probably gonna put myself in a book buying ban after this. This last book is one that I have been seeing around for a while now. It's piqued my interest, especially since it's considered to be kind of Stephen King-ish, but honestly this gave me big Neil Gaiman vibes. It's called The Last House on Needless Street by Katrina Ward. It's also blurbed by Sarah Penborough, who said, the new face of literary dark fiction. I am really intrigued by this. It says, in a boarded up house on a dead-end street at the edge of the wild Washington woods lives a family of three. A teenage girl who isn't allowed outside, a man who drinks alone in front of his TV, and a house cat who loves napping and reading the Bible. An unspeakable secret binds them together, but when a new neighbor moves in next door, what is buried among the birch trees may come back to haunt them all. Like, does that not just sound so creepy and intriguing? I know my library has the audiobook to this, which I think is gonna really enhance that creep factor. I just have this strange feeling that I'm gonna like this one, so let me know if you've read it yet. Alright, so I'm going to go right into the second half of this video with the next few books here, and these are all books that people have sent me, whether it was for Valentine's Day, for my birthday. Some of you guys sent me books when I actually had the Big Bad C Word. I'm just so grateful and astounded at like everyone's generosity. The book community is seriously the best community, and when I get a new book, like that literally just makes my entire week. I keep every single note that you guys write to me or write through Amazon with your book inside the cover because I never want to forget who gave me these books. I am so grateful and thankful for all of you. Thank you so much for making my birthday extra special this year, and yeah, let's just get into the first couple manga graphic novels again. The first one is The OK Witch and the Hungry Shadow, which is actually the second in a graphic novel series. I'm not going to go too far into this because this is the second in a series, but we have our main character Moth, who in the first one kind of discovers that she's a witch and has some witch history within her family line. Super cute. There's a lot that goes down, and I just can't wait to see what happens in the continuation of the story. Obviously, we got another cat here. Like, I love the cat in this story. The humor is so great. The artwork is just so colorful and fun, and yeah, I highly recommend picking this up. And then we have the graphic novel that started it all for me, the graphic novel that I cannot believe that I didn't own until now, because this is my all-time favorite graphic novel that I recommend to everyone. The humor and everything in this book is top notch. Like, I really cannot wait until she writes another graphic novel. That is Neumona by Noelle Stevenson. I love this, you guys. The artwork and the characters are so quirky and so funny. We basically have like this superhero that has this sidekick, which is this girl, and they have to try to prove that these like higher ups are actually frauds. So they go on this like hilarious adventure, and I've never laughed out loud as much in a book as I have this graphic novel. I'm so glad that I own this. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for sending this to me. This next one, I'm honestly not sure if I'm gonna love or I'm gonna hate it, but we are gonna find out. That is Thornhill by Pam Smye. This one is all monochromatic in black and white. It is a little bit different because we do have full pages of written word, and then we also have illustrations. This one has to do with a lonely girl in a new town and a ghostly figure in the window. I do know this has to do with bullying and a girl who's plotting her revenge of some kind, so I really don't know what that means. For some reason, this like cover and this whole aesthetic has really piqued my interest for a couple years now. I'm excited to have this in my hands, and I really don't know what I'm gonna think. Ooh, I just saw like something really scary, so I have a feeling this is just gonna get really creepy, but I'm excited for it. Then I have another new to me manga that I have yet to start the series called Tokyo Tariba Girls. This has been on my radar for quite some time now because it looks so fun and spunky and girly, and I know this has to do with like 3 friends who are in their 30s. They're all single. It kind of gives off those like maybe Sex and the City vibes. It just sounds like a humorous good time of these girls just trying to find love. Another one of those books that I got gifted, so thank you so much, Lauren. I've been eyeing this for quite some time. And then we have a murder mystery that it was originally written in Japanese. This one's called the Decagon House Murders, the Japanese cult classic mystery. A lot of you guys know I love Asian culture, I love Asian literature, so I was very excited to get my hands on this one, especially because I've heard this is based off And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, so I am even more intrigued after I heard that. But this takes place on a remote, lonely island at the Decagon House, which is actually a house made in the shape of a decagon. I believe there's actually an illustration in here that I wanted to show you guys. Oh yeah, here it is. So each room is in the shape around the Decagon house, and there's also like this weird creepy hand that they find, and someone dies, and yeah, this is very reminiscent of Agatha Christie, which makes me a little bit skeptical, especially since I already know the outcome of And Then There Were None. But it's been so long since I've read that book, and hopefully I'll forget it when I read this. Very excited to get into a mystery thriller that's actually, or was actually, written in Japanese, because I think this is gonna be right up my alley. And then I also have, I believe, what's a little bit more of a cozy mystery called The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. I don't know what to expect from this one, but it sounds hilarious, to be honest. I believe it's written to be that way. We have 4 unlikely friends who live in this retirement village who love to discuss like unsolved crimes and mysteries, and they call themselves the Thursday Murder Club. And then at this retirement village, someone turns up dead with like a photograph next to them or something. And so these 4 unlikely, funny, humorous characters try to figure out the crime and solve the mystery. I believe there's a second one to this, which is also super neat. This just sounds very unique in every aspect. I keep saying that about all these, but I am really eager to read all of these books. And then I have here A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. I've been dying to get my hands on this since the day it came out. I don't know why it's taken me this long to get it or buy it, so thank you so much to my friend Kendall. This so cheered me up when I was sick. Honestly, it's been so long since this came out that I completely forget what it's about, other than it has like dark academia vibes. There's also this sorceress who's like trying to rewrite magic. I am obsessed with these end pages as well. They are so cool. It's like a map. Oh my goodness. I think this is gonna be so good. I've yet to read Naomi Novik, in case I didn't say that already, so I don't know if this should be the first one I pick up. Very, very excited to have this in my hands. And then I have a totally random book that has been sitting on my backlist for forever, and Lauren sent it to me, and I'm very excited to have it in my hands. It's called Dig by A.S. King. A.S. King has been on my to-read list for absolute ages now, ever since I've heard like Ariel Bissett and Raylene LeMay talk about A.S. King. They had her on the podcast. I am just very intrigued by this author. She typically writes magical realism, and I know this is about, I think, a family that has very intricate secrets, and I want to say they're also potato farmers. Sounds very unique. I know this is more like contemporary. We're gonna give this one a go and we'll see what happens. This next book is another case of Bookstagram has made me want it. Bookstagram has made me want to read this for so long. Legendborn by Tracy Dion. I'm so excited to have this in my hands, but it has been so long since it came out, so I'm gonna read a little bit of the inside for you guys. After her mother dies in an accident, 16-year-old Bree Matthews wants nothing to do with her family memories or childhood home. A residential program for bright high schoolers seems like the perfect escape until Bree witnesses a magic attack her very first night on campus. A flying demon feeding on human energies. A secret society of so-called legend-born students who hunt the creatures down. This sounds super high stakes and super fast-paced, which is exactly what I want in my fantasy. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for sending this to me. I am just so excited about this. Like, this is a phenomenal cover, and everything about this just, yes. Next, I have a very popular mystery thriller that I believe was also a Book of the Month choice called A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. I don't know anything about this other than like there's a small town and girls start to go missing. So I think there's like this girl who's like a psychologist who ends up trying to figure out the mystery of this town. And I've heard it's actually pretty mind-blowing, like it's really good. Also blurred by Karen Slaughter, so don't know if that's a good or bad thing at this point. And yeah, this was just something on my radar because it's new, everyone seems to love it, and I had to have it. This next book, called Ghosts of Harvard, is actually a pretty big chunky boy for being a mystery thriller. This one does have very big dark academia vibes. A Harvard freshman becomes obsessed with her schizophrenic brother's suicide. Then she starts hearing voices. I mean, there's such a long blurb in here, but I love going into mystery thrillers completely blind. Very excited about this one. I've had it on my list for quite some time, so thank you so much, Keisha, for sending this to me. We're definitely gonna have to do another buddy read for this one. Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco has actually been around for quite some time now, but this is one of the very first books that I ever discovered from like Goodreads, Bookstagram. When I first joined the community, I was like, that looks very interesting. And I think it's about a girl who actually falls in love with Jack the Ripper, and instead of killing him herself, like she just decides to like fall in love with him. I don't know, that sounds pretty far-fetched, and this one has been on my radar, like I said, for forever, so I don't remember exactly what it's about, but it is a more historical mystery thriller, I think. Every time I see it come up, I still want to read this one, so I'm very glad to have it. Okay, we are finally down to our last two books. Thank goodness, because I'm out of water and I've been coughing. We are almost done. The second to last book I wanted to share is Floriography by Jessica Rue. This is an illustrated guide to the Victorian language of flowers. This is a nonfiction book, obviously, but Jessica Rue is actually one of my favorites, if not my all-time favorite illustrator, basically of all time. She just has this style that's like dark, oops, sorry, that's the note, dark and muted, but also just like stunning. I have so many of her art prints and her postcards and things in my house, and I saw that she was coming out with this book. This is the perfect coffee like tabletop book to keep around your house. It just basically describes the origin of the flower, the meaning. This is just absolutely stunning. I love this so much. And last but definitely not least, I had to include this especially for my Christian viewers out there because this has been such a unique tool for me in my faith, especially during COVID. I discovered the Bible Recap, which is actually a podcast. So I was trying to read through the Bible in a year. Didn't happen, but I am slowly working through this physical book. So basically, Tara Lee Cobble has this podcast called the Bible Recap. You read your little scripture portion of the day, and then she basically recaps what you read. She explains words, she explains the history, really solidifies and clarifies like what you just read, which is really what I need. I love this. If you're in the market for just something quick and easy to do daily, or you're trying to get through the Bible, not even in a year, this is such an awesome resource to have. And this is a fancier version, like a leather-bound version. You can get it for like half the price of this, but I am so excited to finally have this in my library. I think this is really going to enhance my reading experience. Okay, friends, we have finally reached the end, thank goodness, because I'm out of breath. I really need to go get some more tea, some more water, but I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you for sticking all the way through. Like I said, I think there was about 35 books here, so I will be putting myself on a book buying ban, except for a couple new releases that I really want. I went a little nuts. I did an unhaul and I was like, I have more shelf space, which I really don't, and then decided to go crazy. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you got maybe some new recommendations. Some of these books have been really long time backlist titles for me. Some of them are fairly new. I found some graphic novels I've never heard of before. I am very excited to read each and every one of these books, and hopefully I'll get to them this year. Thank you so much for supporting my channel and for watching. I hope you have an awesome day wherever you are, and I will see you in my next video.